Never heard of him.
Did you know every knight in the Seven Kingdoms then?
The good one.
HBO's A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms trailer has finally arrived, and it looks every bit as charming, heartfelt, and brutal as fans hoped. The tone immediately feels right, grounded in the humble world of hedge knights and small folk, yet still rich with the mythic grandeur of Westeros. There's humor, there's grit, and there's that classic George R.R. Martin blend of chivalry and class tension. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. Let's break it down scene by scene and explore what this trailer tells us about Dunk, Egg, and the early Targaryen era that sets the stage for everything to come. Opening, the death of Ser Arlan of Pennytree. The trailer begins with a somber image. Dunk burying his mentor, Ser Arlan of Pennytree, in the rain. This is exactly how the Hedge Knight novella opens, and it sets the emotional tone for the series. Ser Arlan was Dunk's teacher, father figure, and the man who took a nameless, flea-bottom orphan under his wing. In the books, much of Dunk's emotional reflection comes through his inner thoughts about Ser Arlan, so flashbacks are a smart addition for TV. Seeing Ser Arlan alive, even briefly, helps ground Dunk's sense of loss and explains why his first independent steps as a knight feel so uncertain. After the burial, we see Dunk testing his sword in the morning sun, a symbolic gesture of hope and new beginnings. He's still grieving, but he's also daring to dream. Rather than seeking a stable position in some lord's service, Dunk chooses to gamble on himself by entering the Ashford Meadow tournament and act both brave and naive. Dunk's gamble, becoming a hedge knight. At this point, Dunk doesn't have much. A sword, some second-hand armor, and a big dream. To even compete at Ashford, he needs to scrape together enough to buy armor from a smith named Steely Pate. If he loses his first joust, he'll lose everything. Armor, horse, and his reputation as a knight before it's even begun. This choice reveals a lot about Dunk. He's not just simple-minded or idealistic. He's ambitious, a bit reckless, and clever enough to pose as a real knight even though he was never officially knighted. That deception drives much of the story, and the trailer seems to hint that the show will explore his moral complexity just as much as his nobility.
No.
Then would you move the fuck out of the way?
Sorry.
Tone and humor. Realistic, funny, and warm. One of the strongest impressions of the trailer is its tone, a mix of realism and humor that fits Dunk and Egg perfectly. There's bawdy Ren Fair-style comedy, earthy dialogue, and good-natured banter. When a knight mistakes Dunk for a stable boy and tells him to move, Dunk's awkward reply captures his mixture of humility and pride. This grounded humor keeps the story human. Like Game of Thrones before it, the Hedge Knight will balance moments of grim violence with warmth and wit. It's a story about good people trying to survive in a brutal world. Not kings and dragons, but those who live in their shadows. Dunk and Egg meet. One of the best moments in the trailer is the first meeting between Dunk and Egg. It's lifted directly from the books. Dunk proudly declares himself Ser Duncan the Tall of Fleabottom, to which the bald-headed boy replies, "I know all the knights in the realm. I've never heard of you." That's their dynamic in a nutshell. Dunk, the honest dreamer, trying to live up to a code of honor he barely understands. Egg, the sharp, skeptical, clever boy who just happens to be a secret Targaryen prince. Egg questions Dunk constantly, both out of youthful arrogance and genuine curiosity, and their friendship becomes one of the most beloved relationships in the entire A Song of Ice and Fire universe. The Targaryens arrive. As the trailer progresses, we see the Targaryens riding into the Ashford tournament. The banners, leaner, darker dragons with two legs, look fantastic, gothic, and slightly menacing. This is where Dunk starts realizing how far above his station he's climbed. Among these royals is Prince Aeerion, Bright Flame Targaryen. Played with perfect disdain, Aerion's arrogance, cruelty, and casual contempt for the common people embody Targaryen elitism at its ugliest. In the books, he's infamous for tormenting people and believing he's a literal dragon in human form. The trailer shows him sneering at Dunk, mistaking him for a stable hand and establishing himself as the story's key antagonist.
I know I'm just a hedge knight, but sometimes I think there could be more.
Tanselle Too Tall and Dunk's heart. Then comes Tanselle Too Tall, the Dornish puppeteer who captures Dunk's heart. She's beautiful, kind, and talented, and she represents the small folk artistry that noble knights often ignore. Dunk's shy smile and visible lump in the throat when he sees her for the first time are pitch perfect. In the books, Tanselle paints Dunk's shield with the image of a shooting star above an elm tree, a personal sigil that becomes his symbol throughout his life. Her puppet show also becomes the spark that ignites the entire story's conflict with Aerion. Class, power, and perspective. Beneath all the pageantry and humor, The Hedge Knight is fundamentally a story about class struggle. Dunk, a nobody from Flea Bottom, is trying to pass as a knight in a world obsessed with bloodlines. Meanwhile, Egg, a literal prince, is pretending to be a commoner. Their partnership allows the show to explore both sides of Westeros's social divide. Egg challenges Dunk's deference to the nobility. In one scene, he asks why he treats lords and princes as his betters. Dunk, who has grown up seeing the Red Keep from the gutters, replies simply, "Because they are." That single line sums up a lifetime of conditioning, and the show seems intent on using their friendship to question what nobility really means. A realm on edge, the Blackfyre Rebellions. The show is set about a decade after the first Blackfyre Rebellion, when House Targaryen barely held on to the Iron Throne. The realm is uneasy. People doubt the royal family's strength now that dragons are gone. Across the narrow sea, a rival branch of the Targaryens, the Blackfyres, wait for their chance to strike again. Ashford Meadow, though a small tourney, becomes a symbolic stage for these tensions. The Targaryens are here to display unity and power, but Dunk's presence, a common man daring to compete among princes, represents the opposite. The restless, uncertain new world that's rising beneath their feet. This clash between highborn arrogance and lowborn courage is what makes the Hedge Knight such a rich and human story. Lyonel Baratheon, the Laughing Storm. Enter Lyonel Baratheon, known as the Laughing Storm. He's one of the great characters of this era. Bold, jovial, and larger than life. The trailer nails his look, antlered helm, golden armor, and a mischievous grin. In one memorable shot, Dunk wears Lyonel's massive antlered helmet, clearly after a few drinks. It's a moment that shows the camaraderie of the knights before the deadly seriousness of the trial by 7. Lyonel tells Dunk he has no chance of winning unless others help him, foreshadowing the allies who will stand beside Dunk when honor demands it. The shooting star and Dunk's shield, another key moment. A greenish-blue shooting star streaks across the sky. Egg says no one else saw it, and Dunk replies, "Then the luck is all ours." This beautiful exchange captures the heart of their relationship, a small moment of shared wonder before the chaos of fate catches up. That falling star inspires Dunk's famous sigil, the shooting star over an elm tree, painted by Tanselle herself. It's a poetic touch that connects him to destiny and reinforces his role as a champion of the common folk.
In every man there are many men, so be brave.
The Puppet Show and Aerion's Rage. In the trailer, we glimpse Tanselle's puppet dragon, much larger than in the books. The show seems to have expanded it into a major public performance, complete with pyrotechnics and a crowd of onlookers. That change makes sense. In the novella, Aerion's outrage over a small puppet show feels personal but private. Making it a grand public event raises the stakes. When Aerion believes the puppet dragon mocks his Targaryen blood and violently assaults Tanselle, it becomes a public act of cruelty, one that forces Dunk to intervene, triggering the climactic chain of events, leading to the trial by 7. The puppet scene thus becomes the spark for the story's central question. What does true knighthood mean? Is it birthright or the courage to defend the innocent? The tournament and jousts. We see glimpses of the Ashford tourney throughout the trailer, horses thundering across the field, the royal pavilion glittering under torchlight, and knights crashing together in spectacular fashion. George R.R. Martin has said he wanted the best joust ever filmed for television, and HBO seems to have delivered. There's a sense of raw, physical impact here. No dragons, no magic, just the primal thunder of horses and steel. The show appears to combine daytime and nighttime joust for visual variety, adding fog and firelight for atmosphere. Aerion's cruelty and Dunk's courage. One shot shows Aerion's armor, terrifyingly designed like a dragon skull, with spikes and flames. It's less ornate than described in the books, but more sinister, resembling a torture cage. It perfectly fits a man who thinks he's a dragon in human form. The trailer intercuts Aerion's joust with scenes of Dunk's inner turmoil, foggy fields, trembling hands, and moments of self-doubt. Dunk knows he's out of his depth, yet when Aerion brutalizes Tanselle, Dunk acts anyway. That's the essence of his heroism, not confidence, but courage in spite of fear. The Trial by 7. The climax of both the book and the trailer is the Trial by 7, a rare and sacred form of combat where 7 knights fight 7 to prove the god's judgment. Dunk stands for honor, Aerion stands for cruelty. The trailer shows chaotic, fog-filled battle scenes, torches blazing, armor clashing, antlered helms gleaming. It looks spectacular. There's even a shot echoing the graphic novel's iconic image of both sides charging at each other across the field. We see Dunk's allies, including Humphrey Harding and Lyonel Baratheon, and hints of the bloody duel where Dunk faces Aerion. There's a brutal shot of Aerion's Morning Star crashing down, Dunk tumbling into the mud, and eventually rising to deliver the decisive blows that humble his opponent. Symbolism and thematic depth. Even in the trailer, the story's themes come through clearly. Dunk, born in the gutters, stands for the ideal of knighthood, mercy, honor, and protection of the weak. Aerion, born to power, embodies its corruption, pride, cruelty, and entitlement. Egg sits between them, absorbing the lessons that will one day shape him into King Aegon V, known as the Unlikely. Through Dunk, he learns that true nobility isn't about birth, it's about character. The trailer's visual motifs, rain and sun, the shooting star, the elm tree, the fog and fire of battle, all reinforce this central message. The humble knight's path is fraught with pain and loss, but also light and hope. The future of the Dunk and Egg stories. The video's final reflection hints at what might come next. George R.R. Martin originally planned at least 7 Dunk and Egg novellas, leading up to the mysterious tragedy at Summerhall, where both men's lives end in fire and legend. But with the winds of winter still unfinished, and a dream of spring on the horizon, Martin may never write them all. That's why this show matters. If a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms succeeds, it could carry Dunk and Egg's full saga to screen, their journeys to Winterfell, Dorne, and beyond, culminating in Summerhall. HBO seems fully committed to treating these stories with respect, and the trailer's authenticity suggests they're off to a strong start. Our nerdy thoughts. Everything about the trailer feels right. The tone captures the earthy realism of the novellas. The casting of Dunk and Egg is spot on, and the world of Westeros looks alive again, not as a realm of dragons and prophecies, but as a place of mud, laughter, and small acts of honor. There's humor, heart, and brutality. There's a sense of intimacy missing from House of the Dragon's dynastic sprawl. This is Westeros from the ground up, seen through the eyes of a giant knight who believes in doing good, and a boy who will one day be king. The Hedge Knight looks like it's going to deliver exactly what fans have longed for, a faithful, heartfelt adaptation of one of George R.R. Martin's best stories. And if this trailer is any indication, the realm of Westeros still has plenty of fire left, even without the dragons.
Be just.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.